Now we're going to focus on our last chapter on heredity. We're going to focus on multiple alleles first. There is some confusion that students have sometimes when we talk about multiple alleles, but really let's just make it as simple as possible. Multiple refers to many. Here we're dealing with many genes have more than one, more than two alleles. This does not mean that an individual can have more than two alleles. You're still going to get one from mom, one from dad. Remember, an allele would be like big T or little t, from dad, and then a big T, from mom, or a little t from mom. This simply means that we have two alleles for a trait that exists in a population, such as human blood. Basically, we have blood type A, blood type B, and blood type O. Here we have three different alleles, but that doesn't mean we have three different blood types. We have blood type O, which is recessive, blood type OO, and then we have blood type A and B, which are co-dominant. The allele O is recessive, while the alleles A and B are co-dominant. Remember, we talked about what co-dominant was referring to, kind of that mixture. So if both of these alleles are present, both are expressed. So that gives us four blood types. That just doesn't give us A, B, and O. They're going to combine, and what they're going to do is they're going to give us, we can have blood type A, which is A and O. We can have blood type B, which is B and O, but here's the tricky one. We can have blood type AB. So that shows the co-dominance. Blood type AB, will make something new. And then we have blood type O. Here's an illustration of that. Lowercase i's just represent blood type O. Why they didn't just write O? Well, it does tie in a little bit more when we talk about multiple alleles with blood type. So the lowercase I is dealing with blood type O. The uppercase I is dealing with, can it hold blood type A or can it hold blood type B? So if it has uppercase IA with a lowercase I, that's blood type AO, that's going to be blood type A. Here are some other examples besides blood type that shows multiple alleles, many different traits. If you have maybe a dog and one dog was maybe black-haired and another dog is maybe brown-haired, some of the puppies may have spots or different traits. This is what we see here with the rabbit. You can see there's a dark gray, there's a different trait here, the chinchilla color, the Himalayan, and then the albino. Down here with the chicken, basically we have the different combs, different size and shape and pattern. These are still giving us the basic genetic information, but because of the multiple alleles, it can give us different colors and so forth. This will tie in with hair color or even eye color sometimes, in which we're dealing with, for hair color, red hair. Here we have our karyotype, and you can see basically with the sex-linked, we're dealing with the sex chromosomes. Don't forget that. Okay, now let's talk about sex chromosomes or the sex-linked traits. Remember, these are only dealing with the X and Y or the X and X. So these sex-linked traits are only dealing with the sex chromosomes. The sex chromosomes, as we talked about before, can make a male, which is XY, and a female, which is XX. And remember that this term for the body chromosomes is called autosome or autosomal, while the sex chromosomes are called the germ cell chromosomes. Now you can see on this page you have the sex-linked chromosomes. We're doing a Punnett square to see, is the child going to be a male or is it a female? So as you can see, it's always going to be a 50-50 chance. Okay, here we have some other information about sex-linked traits. As you can see, there are pretty much for the X chromosome, which the female carries, 153 million base pairs. So much information you can see there, many different traits. and some good, some bad. If you scroll through that, you can see that there's genetic information or information carried from the mother that could be a disorder or some sort of cancer, but it also carries a lot of positive genetic traits. Now, the Y chromosome only has 50 million base pairs. That's a lot less, and that is a reason why the male chromosome is shorter. And you can see also there's positive things, but there's also negative, maybe problems or diseases there. Okay, the X-linked traits and disorders. In the next chapter, we're going to talk about many different disorders. Hopefully, we can, as we learn about that, we can have empathy and compassion for others. But you can actually see on the next couple slides that we're going to have today that there's some certain disorders or diseases that are specifically sex-linked or X-linked traits. Okay, only pretty much given from the mother. So that's why we're calling it an X-linked trait, because it's not coming from the Y, it's coming from the X, from the X in the female egg. Okay, so basically these traits are only passed on from mother, not from father. So you can see in the Punnett square, the X has the genetic information on it, which is the H. We have big H's and little h's, but the Y does not carry that information. So let's talk about some X-linked traits that only mommy can carry and send to the child. Colorblindness. Colorblindness is one sex-linked trait that the male does not pass on, okay, but the female does. Okay, this could be red-green colorblindness or blue-yellow colorblindness. And you can see the cross or the difference between normal color and being colorblind. Okay, doesn't mean they're completely colorblind. They may not be able to see the red. It may look more like a brown or even closer to what the green may look like, maybe a mixed color. Another example would be hemophilia. This is passed on from the mother. The male Y does not carry it, but this was the bleeding disease. We talked about this in the royal family. So the blood does not clot, and so therefore the person can bleed internally or externally and die from this. Here's another X-linked trait, muscular dystrophy. So basically this disorder involves a rapid increasing of muscle weakness or loss of muscle tissue. As you can see, the left picture shows a normal muscle tissue and the right, okay, very weak, very small. Another example would be X-linked traits dealing with baldness. Okay, so male pattern baldness is basically carried on the X chromosome. And that X chromosome, remember, a male has the X chromosome, the male has the Y chromosome, right? But the Y chromosome does not carry this information. So if you want to see if you're going to be bald, you generally look at, okay, your mother's father. Okay, if your mother's father is bald, there's a very high probability, yes, you are going to be bald. But if your mother's father has hair, okay, most likely you're probably going to have a head of hair. Not in all cases, but okay, this leads us to our last thing, and these are the charts, a diagram that shows a type of family tree. But this family tree shows how genetic traits are passed on. Okay, so if you can see it, pedigree is going to have a chart, a key that shows the male and female. Males are usually going to be a square, females the circle. If the person has the genetic disorder or the genetic trait, such as attached earlobes or not attached earlobes, we may color that in. Okay, the colored squares or circles will show that they're carrying the trait. Okay, when we have a line connecting them, okay, basically that means marriage. Okay, so the line is actually in the middle. Okay, that's showing marriage. So we have a mother and father, and then it goes down and it yields, okay, on the left side, one circle and two squares. The two squares, okay, are carriers or have the trait, while the daughter does not have the trait. Okay, so no lines in the middle would be connecting, or hopefully not connecting, the brothers and sisters. You can see that the third child, the colored square here, is connected to a circle that's outside of his family. So he married a woman that does not have that trait. He married outside, and then they had children. Okay, so you can see this. Here the example is highlighted as affected with tongue rolling, while the non-colored or non-shaded does not. Okay, and then we're able to figure out, okay, by doing this, by doing the Punnett square, and we'll do some practice with this, okay, how are the genotypes passed on, okay, through the pedigree. Okay, so remember, the non-shaded was not having the trait. If having the trait was dominant, so that means that not having the trait, all the non-shaded ones would be recessive. Why would these top shaded ones, the circle, that shaded, be a heterozygous? Because it gave one recessive. Okay, so you would use some Punnett squares to help you figure this out. Okay, here's another example of the pedigree, and here's one with the sex-linked trait of hemophilia.